everyone. Welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike. And yes, it looks like we're coming out of our COVID period. The last couple of years has seen people really pay a lot of attention to their health and also keeping clean. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have washed my hands more times in the last 2 years than I think I did in my whole life leading up to now. But it's a good thing to wash your hands, not just COVID, but colds and flus and many other things can be gotten rid of or avoided by keeping clean. And along with washing people's hands, COVID has also made us think about washing other things. I mean, do you remember people used to go to the supermarket, bring home all of their stuff, including boxes of cookies or jars of oil or whatever, and we were washing the boxes, we were wiping off the bottles and jars and things like that. I think we can stop washing those things, but washing your hands is always a good idea. And when it comes to things you bring home from the supermarket, you still need to wash your produce. That's right, fruits and vegetables, or fruits and veggies, as I like to call them. Those things do always need to be washed, whether it's COVID or any other time, whether you're in your home kitchen or you work in a restaurant kitchen. Washing your fruits and vegetables is very important because, of course, these things grow in the ground. We often use chemicals to fertilize them. I've heard situations where people get their salads home and there's bits of cow poop in the food. Oh my gosh, all of this stuff comes from the farm and the factory and the truck and the supermarket, and it can end up in your home. But if you're like me, you might look at things and go, okay, I know how to wash an apple. I mean, that's easy, but how do I wash a lettuce? How do I wash, oh my gosh, how do I wash mushrooms and my little blueberries? Do I have to wash each little blueberry? Well, don't worry, we have lots of good answers for you backed up by solid science as we discover the best ways to wash produce. We all want to eat healthier, and including fresh fruits and vegetables in our diet is an important part of that goal. What's not healthy, however, is consuming the bacteria, dirt, and chemicals that collect on the surface of produce. And while everyone knows that washing produce before use can prevent sickness, how can we be sure that we are washing our produce properly? Food safety experts have a few tips. Leafy vegetables. The outer leaves of vegetables like cabbage and lettuce may still contain pesticides, so be sure to first remove the outermost layer at the least. Next, soak the remaining leaves, or the leaves of other vegetables like spinach, in cool water and then rinse them thoroughly. Use your fingers to free any hidden sand or dirt from inside the folds of the leaves. All right, so the best ways to wash produce, because of course you can just sort of pass your fruit under the water, pass your vegetables through the water, but that's not really washing it in the best way. And of course, the way you wash an apple might be very different from the way you wash a very delicate strawberry or a mushroom. So let's find out the best way to wash our produce, fruits and veggies, by different categories or kind of produce. Now we begin by saying something I think everyone can agree with. We all want to eat healthier, and including fresh fruits and vegetables in our diet is an important part of that goal. Absolutely. Fresh fruits and vegetables are just as good, probably better than the canned and the frozen kind, and they taste better too. We enjoy eating fresh fruits and vegetables, and of course we also know from doctors and from science class that this kind of stuff is good for you. You need fresh produce to be healthy and strong. What's not healthy, however, the article says, is consuming the bacteria, dirt, and chemicals that collect on the surface of produce. Yes, definitely, you want the vitamins that are inside the produce, but you definitely don't want bacteria, dirt, pesticides. That's chemicals they spray on your fruits and vegetables while they're on the farm. You do not want to be consuming those things along with the wonderful vitamins and minerals and other stuff. Now, when we consume something, in this case, we basically just mean eat. If you put it in your mouth, chew it up, swallow it, and it goes into your body, you are consuming that. But consume can also mean to use up something that you're getting an energy source from, you're getting a benefit from. Big countries today consume a lot of oil. A lot of people might consume different types of programs and shows on the internet. You're watching it, you're using it up in the same way that cars consume oil and factories too. People consume food to get energy. Let's talk about Tammy. I'm worried about what Tammy is consuming. It says Tammy consumed a pound of cheese at dinner last night. That's a lot of cheese, Tammy. You might want to cut down and not consume quite so much cheese. Maybe some fresh produce would be a nice idea. Anyways, back to the article. It says, and while everyone knows that washing produce before use can prevent sickness, how can we be sure that we are washing our produce properly? Good question. Food safety experts have a few tips. Yeah, so when we're talking about washing our produce before use, this basically means before consuming it, before eating it, or cooking with it, or preparing it in some way. So you definitely want to wash these things before you eat them, cook with them, anything like that. The first thing you do after you take them out of the fridge, wash them, dry them, and now they're ready for cooking and eating. So what's the first kind of produce category that we'll be looking at? Well, this is a pretty common one. And in fact, when I make a salad, I always start with leafy vegetables. Yes, here we're talking about things like lettuce, cabbage, bok choy, things like that. Things with leaves. So you have to wash them carefully because often there's lots of little spaces where the dirt can kind of get inside the middle of the cabbage or lettuce. So here's an easy way to do things. The outer leaves of vegetables like cabbage and lettuce may still contain pesticides. So be sure to first remove the outermost layer at the least. Now, when we say remove the outermost layer, just the leaves that are on the outside, that's the outermost layer, take them off, throw them away. I mean, I do this because sometimes they're kind of sad and dry. They might have tears and rips and brown spots in them because that outer layer is kind of like the skin of the lettuce. It's the outside. And when we say outer, we mean, yeah, on the outside. Your skin is the outer layer of your body. Beneath your skin, there's muscle and bone and blood and all that stuff. But if we're talking about the outside surface or layer of something, that is the outer part of that thing. For example, the outer circle is red and the circle inside is blue. So red with blue. And there's a word very similar to outer that we would use for inside, inner. I-N-N-E-R. So remove the outer layers of your lettuce or cabbage. Don't even bother washing them. Just throw them away. Now you can really start to wash. So what do you do with some of those inner layers? Well, it says next, soak the remaining leaves or the leaves of other vegetables like spinach or bok choy in cool water and then rinse them thoroughly. Well, that's pretty easy. So you get a nice big bowl, fill it with water, put the leaves that you're going to be cooking with and chopping up later on in there and just let them sit in the water and then rinse them thoroughly. So let them sit in the water for a few minutes while you're doing some other things. Come back, pull them out, shake them off, and then rinse them one more time, and then you can let them dry. But be sure to do all of this very thoroughly. When you do something thoroughly, you're doing it to the most extent, as much as you can or as much as is necessary. You're not taking any shortcuts, you're not cheating, you're not like, it's fine. No, you're doing it fully to the maximum amount that is needed, all right? So if you clean something thoroughly, you really get in the corners there, you make sure it is really super clean. If you thoroughly enjoy something, you fully enjoy that thing. You really enjoy it as much as you could. Ethan, in our sentence, he's lost something. It says, Ethan searched his desk thoroughly, but he couldn't find his pen. I have the same problem as Ethan all the time. All right, so then we've got our leaves, we've soaked them, we're rinsing them, and now to be very, very clean, you can use your fingers to free any hidden sand or dirt from inside the folds of the leaves, right? Because they all kind of go down, and sometimes those leaves, they kind of are twisty and crinkly, and they kind of have these folds, these little areas where things are folded. We could use fold as a verb when you take something like a shirt after you wash it, and you kind of put it over on itself, and then do that again in a way that makes it neater and smaller. That is what you're doing. Something else you might fold, an envelope or a letter. If you want to get your big piece of paper in the envelope, you don't just push it in there. No, it would be a big mess. You fold the letter, you put it in the envelope, and then you fold over the top of the envelope. Here's the mouse. The mouse hid in a fold of the curtain, right? Curtains, that cloth, it hangs and it has these different folds in the same way that your lettuce does. And you know, the other thing is, of course, sometimes in the folds of the lettuce, you might find snails or spiders or bugs of some kind. And unless you're looking for extra meat, you don't really want to eat those things. So get the dirt and the little animals out of there, out of the folds of your lettuce. So that's one category of leafy vegetables. We'll take a break and then we'll be back with broccoli.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。新鲜蔬果是健康饮食里面很重要的一部分，但如果把累积在蔬果表面的细菌啊、尘土还有化学物质吃进肚子里，这则是不健康的。我们这2天的课程就会介绍不同种类的蔬果该如何正确清洗。好，那先补充一下 ，produce 它是指农产品，尤其是指新鲜的蔬果，那它是不可数名词哦，要特别注意它的念法，不是 produce， 而是 produce。好，那 Mike 老师刚刚用到 category 这个字 ，category 这个名词，它可以表达种类或是类别。好，那我们首先就来看看叶菜类的清洗方式喽。高丽菜和莴苣等等蔬菜，它们外层叶片呢可能含有农药，所以务必至少要去掉最外层。那么接下来呢，要把剩下的菜叶浸泡在水当中，然后彻底去冲洗，用手指来清除这个叶子皱褶里面隐藏的沙子啊，或是尘土。好，文中用到 pesticide 是指杀虫剂。那么单字 consume 呢，它可以表达吃、喝或是消耗、消费。再来 outer， 它是形容外围的、远离中心的。当我们用 outermost 则可以形容最外层的。好，那这边补充一组相反词 inner 是形容内部的、靠近中心的。那么 innermost 则是描述最深处的、最里面的。好，下一个单字 thoroughly， 它是副词，表示仔细地或是非常。那么 fold 当名词有这个折层啊、褶皱啊或是折痕的意思，它也可以当动词去表达折叠，像我们说折衣服的那个折。好 ，Mike 老师在讲叶菜类的时候有提到 bok choy， 就是小白菜。那他还用到 crinkly 这个字来描述叶子，我们拼一下 crinkly。crinkly 呢是形容这个皱巴巴的、卷缩的。好，那这边2个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，来看第一个重点是 what 可以引导名词子句，那么句型是用 what 主词加动词，或者是 what 加上动词。特别注意哦，第一个要注意的点就是说 what 在这边相当于 the thing that 或者是 the things that。那么 what 它本身就兼具了先行词还有关系代名词的功能，所以前面就不加先行词了。那么第二个要注意的点就是用 what 名词子句去当主词的时候要视为单数，那后面就是搭配单数动词。来看2个例句 ：Do you know what's in the box？ 你知道盒子里有什么吗？What I need is some peace and quiet. 我需要的是片刻的安静。好，这边我们看到 what I need 当主词，必须视为单数，所以我们后面搭配单数动词 is。好，那么第二个重点是 sure 的常见用法。好，第一个 sure 它可以指说是确定的、有把握的，那么之后可以接 that 子句，这时候 that 可以省略。那我们也可以用 sure 去接或是 about 加 something。 它还可以接 WH 疑问词所引导的名词子句。那我们看个例句 ：I'm not sure when they will arrive。我不确定他们何时会抵达。那么第二个用法是 sure， 它可以表达一定的、确保的。那可以用祈使句 be sure to 加原形动词去表达说一定要怎么样啊，务必要怎么样，就是用来叮咛、交代别人做某事。例如 be sure to lock the front door when you leave。离开时务必将前门锁上哦。那么第三个呢，我们可以用句型 make sure 加上 that 子句，那么 that 可以省略，这时候会有两个意思哦。一个意思就是说确保某事发生，那就跟 be sure to 加动词意思相近。所以我们刚刚那个例句啊，你也可以把它改成说 make sure that you lock the front door when you leave。那么 that 可以省略。好，再看第二个意思呢，我们可以去表达查明、弄清楚、确定。当这个意思的时候，我们也可以用 make sure of 加名词去表达说查明某事、确定某事。例如 They ran the test several times to make sure of the results。他们做了好几次的测试来确定结果。好，接回课文中。
Broccoli and cauliflower. When washing broccoli or cauliflower, hold the head by the stalk with the florets facing up and rinse it under cold running water. Make sure that you rotate the head so that each floret is completely rinsed. Then, remove the florets from the main stalk. Last, boiling the florets for 3 to 5 minutes is an optional step that removes additional pesticides. All right, so far we've learned that washing leafy vegetables takes a long time. There's actually quite a few things to do there because there are many little spaces in the lettuce. And by the way, for lettuce or for cabbage, when we talk about the whole thing, we say that's a head of lettuce or a head of cabbage. That's what you would buy at the store. It's a lot of spaces in a head of lettuce for dirt and things to hide. Now the next category though, much easier, so this is good. Broccoli and cauliflower, which are kind of like cousins, really. It's basically the same plant that's just, a little bit different. But the good thing is that washing them, you do it the same way for both, and it's pretty easy. It says when washing broccoli or cauliflower, hold the head by the stalk with the florets facing up. Let's pause there. Okay, so the whole thing again is a head. That's what you buy at the store. So that's a head of broccoli. The stalk is the sort of tree part that comes down, this sort of tough, harder part. And the florets, those would be sort of like the leaves or the flower. That's kind of the bushy part on top that looks like the leaves or the top of a tree. So hold it by the stalk, by the bottom. So here it is. It almost looks like you're holding a bouquet of flowers. The florets are the top. So have those facing up and rinse it under cold running water. So basically you're washing sort of the top of the broccoli here. Make sure that you rotate the head so that each floret is completely rinsed. Try to get the water to hit the top from all the different angles. That can knock off any dirt and stuff. So do that a little carefully. Then remove the florets, snap them off or cut them off from the main stalk. So now you have the smaller piece. This is what you would eat. Last, boiling the florets for 3 to 5 minutes is an optional step that removes additional pesticides. So that's a good idea. A lot of people do cook their broccoli, right, and cauliflower. You can eat it raw or uncooked, but a lot of people do cook it. So you'll do that anyways as you're boiling it or stir frying it or something like that. That can get rid of any additional bacteria. Additional here is kind of like extra. Some of the stuff that you didn't get, maybe you got 90% of it, but this is the last 10%. You can kind of assume that everything you have is good, but if you have some additional something, hey, why not? You can talk about, well, I have a busy day today, but if I have any additional free time, I will try to call you if I have any extra free time, in other words. Here's our example sentence. The house will need some additional work before we can move in. And yeah, you can absolutely put the word extra. The house will need extra work before we move in. Same idea. So there we go. That's all the time we have for today. We've covered 2 great categories and some healthy categories too, right? Lettuce, broccoli. These things are good for you. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at some of the other fruits and vegetables, maybe some of the more challenging ones. So come back and find out how to keep all your produce as clean as possible in the next part of our article. Bye.
青花菜与花椰菜的清洗方式呢，是要握住菜梗，那么小花朝上，就好像你在握一束花一样。那么在流动的冷水下去冲洗它，务必要旋转整颗菜，好让每一朵小花都有完全被冲洗干净哦。然后你再把小花从主要的梗上面取下来。最后你还可以加一个步骤，就是把小花煮3到5分钟来去除额外的农药。好，单字 additional 它是形容词，形容额外的、添加的。那么文中用到计量词 head， 它本来有头的意思嘛，在这边是指一颗或是一球，常常用来指像花椰菜等等那种球状的蔬菜。我们就可以用 a head of cabbage 来表达一颗高丽菜， a head of lettuce 一颗莴苣，a head of broccoli 来指一颗青花菜。好，那么以上这些讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
We all want to eat healthier, and including fresh fruits and vegetables in our diet is an important part of that goal. What's not healthy, however, is consuming the bacteria, dirt, and chemicals that collect on the surface of produce. And while everyone knows that washing produce before use can prevent sickness, how can we be sure that we are washing our produce properly? Food safety experts have a few tips. Leafy vegetables. The outer leaves of vegetables like cabbage and lettuce may still contain pesticides, so be sure to first remove the outermost layer at the least. Next, soak the remaining leaves, or the leaves of other vegetables like spinach, in cool water and then rinse them thoroughly. Use your fingers to free any hidden sand or dirt from inside the folds of the leaves. Broccoli and cauliflower. When washing broccoli or cauliflower, hold the head by the stalk with the florets facing up and rinse it under cold running water. Make sure that you rotate the head so that each floret is completely rinsed. Then, remove the florets from the main stalk. Last, boiling the florets for 3 to 5 minutes is an optional step that removes additional pesticides.
Josh.
And today we're playing a game called Word Drop, where we each have 3 cards with words or phrases on them that we have not seen yet. And we have to try and work these words or phrases into a casual conversation. So are you ready, Josh?
I'm ready for a casual conversation.
All right, me too. So you start.
All right, let's do this. Okay. So it's one thing that I really love about Taiwan, right, is the all you can eat. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be hot pot, it could be barbecue, it could be sushi. I mean, I haven't found one with sushi, but I'm sure I will soon. Or even pizza. I just find it so great because there's just usually where I'm from, all you can eat is only a certain type of food, like maybe chips. So the variety here is just amazing. And I just love to go there and consume as much food as I can.
Oh, I also like to consume a lot of food because it's very satisfying when you are very hungry and you eat a bunch of food and then you feel nice and full. It's a very good, satisfying feeling.
Yeah.
But I think in addition to going to restaurants to eat food, sometimes it's nice when restaurants have like little games or stuff you can do while you're waiting. For instance, some restaurants have like a little arcade thing. And I like when they have darts and you can play darts. We try to hit the rings, right? And I like to try to hit the outer circle.
That's definitely a good time. I've not yet been to a restaurant that has games while you wait. It sounds like a pretty good way because sometimes the food just takes too long. And there's nothing worse than food taking too long. And if you're trying to get there for all you can eat, then the last thing you want to be doing is wasting time. So when I'm at these all-you-can-eat places, I'm there to do business. I got a goal. I want to just have as much as I can. So I'm going to make sure that I get through all the food as thoroughly as possible.
Oh, yeah. I think that in addition to the food, something I pay attention to is the service. Right? I like when servers are polite and nice. And I also like when the menus are nice and crisp. I don't like it when there's a fold in the corner of the menu.
Oh, that just really gets my goat. It drives me nuts. I need a pristine menu. Same with my bed sheets. I don't want any kind of wrinkles or anything going on there. I just need everything flat, pristine, ironed, because that just really makes my day. But then sometimes I come home and there's too much laundry and I don't need to do additional housework.
Yeah, I don't like to, I'm not the cleanest person, but I try to at least make sure that, there's not garbage everywhere and not a huge mess. And yeah, I like to at least, try to make sure that the basics like you're taken care of, like, the water, the tap is not on. And I also make sure to turn the lights off after I leave a room.
Well, you sound like a good housemate.
Oh, great. Thank you.
No worries.